Welcome to Money 911, where we provide financial first aid for your wallet. I'm your host, Kris Miller, and today we're diving into a topic that could put thousands of dollars back in your pocket. Our guest is Dan Evertsz, CEO of Uncle Dan Consulting Corporation and a tax credit expert with over 40 years of experience. Dan, are you ready to show our listeners how to stop leaving money on the table? All right, let's rock and roll. All right, Uncle Dan, what's this story about the nickname? How does it relate to your approach in tax credits?
Well, I'll tell you how it relates. Uncle Dan was just Dan Evertsz, and Uncle Dan was I had been in the financial services industry for 44 years. Had a mortgage company for 28 years. 2008 kind of wiped me out. Had bought a franchise in college planning in 2005, a second business. And anyway, I've always been in the financial services where I could help people figure out how to navigate financially, and so. I lived in Northern California in Napa County. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
But the taxes were just killing me. And as you get older, I'm 67 now. My taxes were about $10,000 a year, property taxes, just for that. And the market had changed and it actually had gone up. So we caught it at the top of the market and said, let's do something different. So we decided to sell our house, and we moved to Las Vegas. That was in March of 22, and we moved here and just to figure out, see if we like it, and we do. And I met someone on a Zoom that was a branding expert, called me out of about 50 people and said, "You look like my uncle. You have a trusting face." And I said, "Oh, okay, great." He said, "I'm going to give you a free one." He said,
Right.
if you start using Uncle Dan, he said, people will remember you. And so I decided, I was bored to death after 3 months of retirement.
Right.
I said, this is not going to work. So I went and opened, after that, I went and opened Uncle Dan Consulting Corp. And that's when I was about 2-3 months later, I was introduced to the tax credit industry and started doing employee retention credits, but that led to different tax credits that I'm currently doing, and I'm having a ball.
That's great. It is pretty mind-blowing. I did a talk in Washington, D.C. to the Financial Officers Association and the guys that handle the billions and trillions. And this was a few years ago, but I looked at how many pages, 74,000 pages in the IRS code book. So there's a lot of tax credits and things that people miss unless they have an expert like you that knows about it. But just for fun, maybe give me like a 30-second, give me your elevator pitch. So why people would want to pay attention to what you're saying, because there are so many tax credits out there.
Well, I specialize in ones that are readily available. Okay, there's over 4,000 tax credits out there. Wow. And many of them are very complicated. If you don't know what you don't know, it's very tough to get them. So I like the ones that have easy access. So that's why I specialize in the research and development or R&D tax credits, the payroll tax credits, the self-employed tax credit, and the employee retention credit. Those are the 4 that generally I can help a business owner save money. And most business owners, when I say this to them, you get a blank stare because they still don't have any idea of what those are. And so my purpose in my business is built on educating the small business owner. And generally, I'm talking about the business owner that has, 10 to unlimited amount of employees. So
To how many employees?
It's unlimited. My sweet spot is really 10 to maybe 500.
Okay.
The higher you go with the corporations, the more, you have
Sure.
boards of directors and the bureaucracy of the corporation.
So what's the most shocking amount of money that you've seen a company recover through these kind of tax credits they didn't know they qualified
for? Well, the most I've heard of is a research and development tax credit. It was around $13 million back in their back to the company. And the most recent one is there's a company that's doing, research and development within the autism industry. And so, they're always working on different processes. They're always being innovative and creative. And that is technically based. The CPA firm that I work with, I think the refund is $6.2 million. Well, that's quite substantial, considering they knew nothing that they were eligible for anything prior to. And what that particular tax credit is really built upon, recapturing taxes that are paid. A lot of these corporations are paying taxes. So to give you an idea, do you know the difference between a deduction and a tax credit?
I believe so, but go ahead and explain it.
Well, I'm just going to make it really easy. Let's say
good.
A company, they have a smaller company, their gross receipts are $400,000. Okay, they had $100,000 in write-offs, so they take that right off the top. Based on that now they're $300,000, so their taxable is about 25%. So they save bottom line, they save about $25,000 in taxes from that $100,000 write-off. Now, a tax credit, same company has, they have revenue of $400,000 that year, using again a 25% effective tax rate. That puts them at $100,000. I am not a CPA, by the way. This is not tax advice. But that $100,000, let's say the firm that I work with, and it's very few firms that know how to do a R&D study. They go ahead and do the study, and that study comes back and says that they're eligible for a $250,000 R&D tax credit. So what happens is not only that $100,000 that they were going to have to pay, that $100,000 is wiped out, but the additional $150,000 is a check back from the Internal Revenue Service.
Wow, let's open that one up. Research and R&D credits, research and development. So, definition for someone that doesn't know any of this. Right. What does that wrap around? What does that include?
The government, the government of the United States is trying to stay competitive with, China, Russia, all the companies around the world. Everybody, you hear about the AI and software development and anything in that arena. Well, a little history of the R&D credit was started back by Ronald Reagan in 1981, and it has evolved. It was just pretty much a temporary tax credit that they renewed every 2 or 3 years. Fast forward to 2015, Congress came in and said, this is great. We're going to make this a permanent tax credit. And really, it was designed for the manufacturing industry when it was first, put out there. Now, what happens once they made it a permanent tax credit, they opened it up to a ton of different companies and ton of different industries, so that now the guy that has, 5 employees, or the guy that has 50, 100 employees, a company with revenue anywhere generally between, $1 million and say $100 million or more. The big boys get it as well. Well, they're now eligible. So, but the thing is, they never did a good job of educating the business owners that they were eligible for this, and as a result, that is where I come in. I've always taught versus sell. I've always educated either an individual that was trying to buy a home back in the day, or an individual who was trying to set up a retirement plan or a college plan. Well, what I'm finding in the tax credit industry, very, very few people actually do that. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to carry over from what I've always done, and I'm going to take it over here to this arena. So the toughest challenge that I face many times, companies will say, this is too good to be true. How come my CPA didn't tell me about this? And I'm going to tell you why. Because if you were in a room of 100 CPAs, probably 6 or 7 would know how to do an R&D tax study. It's very, very confusing. It's very complicated. And unless you have a team or a company that understands it and does it consistently on a daily basis, then, that's the only way that you're going to get it.
Well, I need to know, what is it? What does it mean? You got to be researching, or you developing?
Well, it's technical, and it has to be some type of something in technical. It doesn't mean you have to be in the laboratory with the white coat on, mixing. That's what most people think.
Right.
It really, they should call it the creativity tax credit. And what I mean by that is any type of process that a company is doing that's new to their company, that's creative, something brand new, that's something they say last year a company did, give you an example, a company that did frozen yogurt. Just the mixing of the flavors, the continuing improving of that process, that makes them eligible for R&D tax credits. We just, the CPA firm I work with, we just did a national company that they had about $20 million a year of annual revenues, and they had never heard of it, knew nothing about it. We went in, he did the study, and guess what? They actually already received it. We wiped out their tax bill, and the balance is a total of $1.3 million that company is receiving. So again, it depends on what I try to do is do a discovery call. It has to be something technical in nature, like all these AI and software development. I mean, I have a whole list. A brewery. The process of a brewery qualifies.
Wow.
Yeah, people that do e-commerce generally are qualified. Digital marketing. What do you call it? The distilleries, wineries, all those processes that they're doing, they all qualify. All manufacturers pretty much qualify. But sometimes the story that we were talking, you wouldn't think that a real estate company would qualify. But after you dug a little deeper, it comes to find out the real estate company, they did some technological things. They had to hire some engineers to put together a more efficient program for all of their agents. Guess what? They didn't think they qualified. Well, we did the study and they did qualify. So,
does that include, like, if you're e-commerce, so you're making AI videos or different, that could be, like you say, the creative tax credit. It could include a lot of things there. Am I right?
I'm just trying to think back. I have a list of companies that we've done. And I think one of the e-commerce company we got back was, they were pretty big. I think they had about 40 million annual revenue. I think their credit was right around $4 million back.
Wow, that's a big tax credit there.
You know what makes it even better? Once you get it this year, you're going to file it. We're going to help you file it every single year. So some companies where they may not be that big, well, many times when you have a CEO that, he's the brain trust, he's the one that started the company. And, he's taking care of everybody else many times except for himself. He may have you know what I mean? He may have a meager salary. Well, we know of companies where the R&D refund portion of the tax credit actually is the salary for the CEO every year, because you can use it for whatever you want once you get it. It doesn't have to be used for R&D.
Right.
Yes.
But there's a lot of rules to it. I mean, you have to, do certain.
Yeah. Well, what we do is we do a discovery call. I kind of go through it and kind of ask questions and, take notes. And then what I basically do then is I go back to the company that I work with, and they have a specialist. And the specialist will set up a meeting. We'll dig a little deeper. In about 45 minutes, we'll dig deep, and you'd be surprised how many companies do qualify that no way they thought they qualified, and they do.
That's great.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So, for self-employed listeners, can you break down the self-employment tax credit in simple terms?
Very simple terms. Back in 2020 and 21, when COVID hit, Donald Trump signed in the CARES Act in March. I think it was March 3rd of 2020. And remember they were giving away PPP loans. They were giving away EIDL. They were just giving away a lot of money. I mean, we all individually had some money that was given to us.
Right.
Well, that was in March. Come near the end of the year, they figured, what happened? Everybody got help that had, like more, a more established type business, right? But what about the self-employed people? So guess what? In Congress, they wrote the bill in January of 2021, and the bill was called the Family First Coronavirus Recovery Act. And it was actually added to the original CARES Act. But one thing they forgot to do, they forgot to tell anybody.
Whoa. How nice.
They didn't put it out there.
They just kept the money.
Yeah, and so basically it was built to help people specifically that had children that went through COVID, because your life was totally interrupted if you had kids that had to come home from school, no more school, and you had to figure it out. So based on that factor, that was the main target of it. But it's as we go through the bill, and many CPAs were not even aware about this bill. It also, any person who was self-employed in 20 and 21 is eligible for, 20 has passed, so it just depends where, if there's a little gray area there, but just assume that 20 and 21, assume you can still get both. You can get up to $32,000 back in the form of a check back from the government. Now, there's a kicker to it.
Yeah, okay.
All right, here's the kicker.
Here's the kicker.
Anybody can understand this. The government, what Congress said was, it's not free money just to anybody. You have to have made money. And, if say you had a self-employed, just a realtor made $60,000 a year, right? They did their taxes, they wrote off $20,000, their net income was $40,000 a year. So they made money. So anyone who actually made money during that period of time will receive something. It could be $10,000. I just did a calculations for a person the other day. I think they were around 25,000 for 2020 and 21 each year. And I think they were getting back, it's like $9,900. Hey, but you know what? If it was $1,000 or $2,000, free is free. I take it.
No,
if I made yes,
tank of gas.
Yeah, but the whole thing is there. If you wrote everything off, right, and you wrote it down to like almost zero, then you're not going to get anything. Mm-hmm. I generally tell people, I really wouldn't. Hey, it's up to you to do what you want to do, but generally, if you got it down and you still made it netted at least $10,000, then it may be worth your time to actually go in. I have a link that I send someone, and they basically will know very quickly within 5 minutes on how much of a possible check that they'll get back.
And it's not too late.
It's not too late. Now,
tell them what the link is there. Go ahead. Give them.
Okay. If you know what, you would give me that one. If they just reach out to me, I will send them the link.
Okay.
Dan at UncleDanConsulting.com.
That's easy enough.
Now, for the research and development, see, I haven't been doing a lot of the self-employed tax credits Recently, I've been concentrating on the other ones, but the link for the R&D is RD Tax Credit Refunds, REFUNDS.com. So RE Tax Credit Refunds, plural.com. That will actually give them an explanation of it, and it will also provide them, if they want, a estimate of what that might be. And then I generally will say, hey, reach out to me first before you can do it. I mean, it takes like 5 minutes. It's not long.
Yeah.
Let's see. I like to uncover things because sometimes that may not uncover it.
That's a good thing to uncover. Those are really good things.
Oh, yeah.
If the listener right now could take one action step after the conversation today and start tapping into these tax credits, what should it be?
What it should be is at least take the time to find out to see if you qualify for any of it. Let's have a discovery call and let's find out if you qualify, because we haven't even talked about the payroll tax credit program. That one is awesome as well. So, and that's for any company with 10 plus W-2 employees. So, I mean, that's one, and everybody qualifies for that just as long as their W-2 employees make at least $25,000 a year.
And that's another.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's one they don't know about, but it could be quite substantial. You know, a company with 1,000 employees, they may save somewhere around $500,000.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
And these are all these hidden things in that 75,000 IRS book.
Yeah.
Probably more now. That was a few years ago. Right?
Yeah, that book, it's 4,000 tax credits hidden in that book. So
that's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm having the time of my life. I'm really having a lot of fun with this because I basically just give away money. It's not like I'm trying to sell anybody anything. Let's find out if you're leaving money. The bottom line is, if you want to find out, you're saying, what should I do? If you think you may be leaving money on the table, let's find out if you're leaving money on the table. We can find out pretty quickly.
There you go. Talk to Uncle Dan, right?
Absolutely.
Uncle Dan, the tax man.
Tax credit man.
Tax credit man. Right. It's been fun. And we'll develop this conversation some more. Is there anything else that you want to share before we hop off here?
No, just, do your due diligence and just make sure that, your CPAs are really busy doing what they do, and they may not even know that you're eligible.
That's the thing right there.
They're so busy. They got so much going on
and they don't want to take the time, right?
This is you can't just take the time, like say on the R&D. It's pretty complicated. So again, just education. Let's find out, see if we can help your company become more profitable. Because not only with like the R&D, your company actually becomes profitable once we get that. That's so your bottom line is decreased and the company becomes more profitable. It's a win-win.
Can't beat that. You get that tax. Get off of that tax.
Absolutely.
All right, Uncle Dan. It's been fun talking to you, and we'll look forward to more. And everybody that's listening, make sure that you connect with Uncle Dan about all of these. There's a lot of tax credits here just waiting for you. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
That's all the time we have for today's financial emergency response. A huge thank you to Uncle Dan for opening our eyes to the world of tax credits. Listeners, don't let another dollar slip through your fingers. Visit rdtaxcreditsrefunds.com. Learn more about accessing these credits for your business. Remember, when it comes to your money, an ounce of knowledge is worth a pound of cure. This is Kris Miller signing off until our next Money 911 podcast and TV show located on the C-Suite Network. Make sure you push that subscribe button and leave a fantastic review. There's so much to learn about healthy money. I hope today's discussion brings you one step closer to securing and protecting your future. So you can get started on the right foot, go to meetwithchrismiller.com and schedule your free financial fitness strategy session. Thank you for listening, and please subscribe to Money 911 so you don't miss our next episode, which includes health, wealth, and peace of mind.